It is such a pleasure to be sitting down with you today. And I just want to first start off by asking you, how are you? How are you feeling, both personally and creatively, most importantly?
I am feeling wonderful. Thank you for asking. It has been a really sort of whirlwind couple of months, as you can imagine, from February to June. It's more than a couple. But I feel like I'm in such a great place. Because I'm producing content that I love, that I'm super proud of. I'm doing a show that I love. And it's been, to me, the perfect transition from traditional to this new media.
Yeah, and so the Reid show, your podcast, launched on June 9th.
Yes.
As you mentioned, it's been a couple of months. Other people would have taken a break. But why did you feel the need to just kind of hit the ground running and make sure that you're still in the space and doing it right now, especially when we see what's happening?
I think events kind of dictated how I moved in that moment. I mean, I lost the MSNBC gig during Black History Month, which was interesting. But there was a lot that was also happening in February. I mean, this was the beginning of the really aggressive deportation of people. I mean, people started literally disappearing off of our streets for writing op-eds that the administration didn't like, or seemingly just for being the wrong color immigrant. As a daughter of immigrants myself, that resonated with me. You also had the joint session of Congress, which was going to happen, whether I was working at MSNBC or not. And a bunch of us who are in the activist space and the social media space and all of these different spaces of Black media writ large decided, listen, we need to get together and have our people focus on what's important out of that speech if they're not going to watch it on traditional media.
Right.
So we did this sort of epic 24-hour broadcast that gave the speech context for Black Americans, for Black folks. And that morphed into the State of the People Power Tour. So I was pulled into that because Angela Rye is my sister friend. I call her my sister boss. And when she says this is what we're doing, how we're moving, I'm going to go with her. And then, of course, in between that was the 60th anniversary, the Jubilee of the Selma to Montgomery March. And I had already committed when I was at MSNBC to be a part of that and to be there to experience and cover it. So, I guess it's the Gen X in me that rather than do the logical thing that lots of people were saying I should do, rather than rest, I said, let me just keep moving because this train was moving and I decided to just ride it.
And there are so many things happening, whether you are out in front of it or not. And being someone who has been such a veteran broadcaster and also really vocal when it comes to a lot of the issues we're seeing take place in this country, we were like, what's Joy doing next? What's Joy doing next? So we're glad that you continue to keep moving on the train. As a daughter of immigrants, when we see what's happening right now in this country with immigration, with people, as you mentioned, literally being pulled off the streets, we're seeing elected officials who are trying to stand up for immigrants, being manhandled and, also facing charges of their own for trying to stand up. Why is it so important that Black people care about immigration issues, right? Sometimes, we hear that it may not be our fight, quote unquote, but, we have so many Black immigrants in this country. So why is it important for, Black people to pay attention to what is happening with immigration?
I mean, the reality is that Black immigrants are so deeply integrated into the African-American story in our culture. So many of us have cousins born overseas. Half my cousins were born in Guyana. Half were born in the United States. They're all African-American. Nobody asks where you were born when you're followed around Bloomingdale's, when you're followed around Macy's, when you're followed around Walmart, when you're being mistreated by police. Nobody asks. They don't pay attention to your accent or where you were born. And if you care about African-American history, you have to understand how deeply integrated people that were born outside the United States or whose families were born outside the United States are in our history. If you're ignoring immigration, you have to ignore Malcolm X. You have to ignore Marcus Garvey. You have to ignore Stokely Carmichael, all of whom were Caribbean American, but deeply African American. And that's what I am. I was born of immigrant parents who are from Africa and from Guyana, but I'm African American. I experience life as an African American woman. My children are African American. There is no difference and there's no border between our experiences. So I feel like it is our fight. Inherently, it's our fight. And even if, let's say, you have absolutely no connections to any Africans or Caribbean people, the President of the United States said on a hot mic to the president of El Salvador, the place where he's sending people without trial and putting them in prisons, he said, next, we're going for the homegrowns. I don't know who folks think that he means by homegrowns, but I promise you, they look like us.
Hmm. That was a deep one right there, for sure. And so, kind of keeping the topic on, the Trump administration. This is Trump's second term. Has been in office for just a couple of months, but we are seeing, swift changes across so many different spheres. And we saw, just a couple of days ago, the airstrikes in Iran. What is it that we should really be concerned about right now? Because there's a lot of fear, anxiety, what's going to happen next. Well, with that move and what has taken place now, there is a lot of worry, and rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, the difference between Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0 is Trump 2.0 has a plan. Donald Trump is just a guy from The Apprentice. He used to work where I worked at NBC. We both used to draw a paycheck from NBC Universal. He used to have a W-2. Ironically, it's the only time he actually paid taxes, apparently, is when he was drawing that check from NBC, and they withdrew that tax money from his check. He's an entertainer. He's not a politician. He has no political experience. He has no actual experience in order to be president. So when he lucked into the presidency in 2016, because of his celebrity, let's be clear, he came in and had to rely on traditional sort of support systems within the government, people who knew government. And even if they only knew government, like Rex Tillerson, his Secretary of State, okay, businessman, but he was an intelligent person that was a person of the world that could kind of figure it out. He had generals, he wanted to surround himself with quote unquote my generals, but they were also there to stop him from, giving in to his worst impulses. They were what he called the deep state. But what the deep state just is experienced people who know what the heck they're doing. Trump 2.0, unhinged and unleashed. He does not have a single professional around him. And I include Marco Rubio in that because Marco Rubio is an entrepreneur. He literally will do whatever it takes to be in power. And he doesn't use the experience he gained in the United States Senate. He could care less. He will do whatever he's told, even to his own people, Cuban people who he's supposed to side with. He doesn't care if they get sent back to Cuba because he thinks it'll accumulate power. So he's surrounded by people who are sycophants, television hosts, characters that Oprah Winfrey used to, put on her show. God bless Oprah, but these people, that doesn't make them qualified to be, over our healthcare. RFK Jr., sort of ne'er-do-well, itinerant multimillionaires, billionaires. That's who he's surrounded by. None of whom have the experience to do the jobs they're doing, but he does also have a plan. And the plan is Project 2025. And what we tried to warn people is that if Trump came back, he would be coming back with unprofessional people, but with a plan. And my team, when I was at MSNBC, we went through Project 2025.
At length.
At length. And what you're seeing happen was written in that playbook. And so even though the people that are running the Trump regime are not professionals, Project 2025 was written by professionals, professional ideologues, professional extremists, and they're implementing that plan so quickly because it's written down and all they have to do is open the book and do the things in it.
You are really vocal about on your social media, especially on Instagram. You are really vocal about the things that are, taking place across the board in this country. Many people would be afraid to speak out as vocally and as directly as you do. But what makes you, what is it that keeps you speaking out and not being fearful of the administration and seeing what we're seeing happen to, members of politicians and people who you wouldn't expect to be treated in that way?
I am my mother's daughter. That lady was such an adventurer that in her 30s, she got on a ship and went off to England by herself, got her degree there, came to the United States by herself, and then helped to bring her family members over. My mom, we used to do road trips. We'd drive all over the United States. We were trapped with people in our station wagon. I come from an adventurous mother and a fearless mother, a person who did not have fear. And so I was raised by her to be like her. And so to me, the worst thing that can happen if you speak out is what happened to me at MSNBC. You lose your job. You lose your gig. but I also have the self-confidence and also have the privilege of the education I was able to gain that I know I can land on my feet. I'm a writer. I can always make a living as a writer. And so I don't fear the consequences of speaking because I have the confidence and the privilege and the education, and I've accumulated, I think,
Wonderful.
the value in my career and what I brought to the table, that there's nothing they can do to me. But the thing that I could fail to do is to use my platform that I'm blessed to have and not use it to help people.
Mm.
What's the point of having that platform? You know, Ta-Nehisi Coates and I had this conversation that was like mind blowing. And we were talking specifically about Gaza. And that was a conversation we're having. If we're blessed to have these platforms that are so rare to have, the platform that you have, you know, think about how lucky we are and the
Yeah.
jobs we get to do. What's the point if you can't be a blessing to the world, if you can't speak up for the people who don't have the ability to speak, who don't have the voice, who don't have the platform? So I feel like it's my responsibility, you know, and it's something I deeply believe in.
Thank you so much for that. We've seen so many veteran journalists like yourself leave traditional news media and go more to an independent route, meeting audiences where they are online, on social media platforms. What do you think about the exodus that we've seen from traditional media, and what have you learned, thus far in this new journey that you're on?
Yeah, and the thing that's so interesting is, you know, I used to be a digital editor, and back in the day when I was a digital editor for local news, the one thing that the mainstream media folks did not want was anything to be broken online. They were just very much, we were in the corner, we were to be quiet and repost what they post, what they did at 6, 10, and 11. That has changed completely. There was a
Absolutely.
time when, you know, our bosses didn't want us on Twitter. And then all of a sudden it went from please stay off of Twitter to everyone was on Twitter and breaking news on social media. And before Twitter went bad, you know, people were using it as a real source of breaking news. So there's been that's a change in like 20 years.
Mhm.
And so I think where we are now, the next phase of that is not only do audiences expect journalists to be on social media, they expect you to not just do your TV show, but also post on social, post on IG, do something on TikTok. There's a great pressure to do that, to the point where if you're applying for a media job, they're asking about your social media following. So we've come a long way. And I think it's a good thing. It's created a democratization of media, but I think it's also created a really great soft landing spot. If you do not any longer fit into the traditional media model, there are so many places for you to go.
Mm.
Substack has been catching people like a net as they've been falling out of traditional media. YouTube has been doing the same thing. And so I think it's great because it gives less power to the corporate media bosses. Because if they don't want the services of any journalist, not
Mhm.
just me, if they decide Terry Moran is too much of a risk, Trump is going to be too mad at him because he said something mean, Terry Moran can take his journalistic efforts. And like LeBron said, he's taking his talents to Miami.
Mm.
He took his talents to Substack. I did the same. I went to Substack and now I'm going to YouTube. So I think the reason that works now is that audiences today, they want the person that they trust to tell the
Right.
news. And they don't particularly care where that person is. If you are a right winger, you like Tucker Carlson, it doesn't matter to you whether he's at Fox or whether he's on a podcast. You like him. And on the other side, if you like me, what we're learning and what I think the media sort of infrastructure, the traditional infrastructure are learning is that there's an audience for each of, for many. If you've developed your following,
Right.
that audience is yours.
It's gonna follow you wherever you go.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's what we've been seeing more and more of. But how do you keep up? There's so much happening. We see you post. I feel like I'm like, how is Joy posting all the time, getting things up, commentary? How do you kind of keep up and but also find a balance,
Yeah.
for yourself and for your family?
Probably fortunately or unfortunately, I can't turn it off. Like I'm
Mm.
constantly like checking to see what is the lunatic doing today, like what madness is happening today. And I remember in the news cycle, but I've been like that since I was in like 6th grade. I'm a news junkie. So to me, it's not really work. I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to check it anyway. So it's easy for me to sort of transition, and kind of my ADHD behavior means that I post a lot and I keep
Mhm.
things up. But that actually helps grow my platform because people know I'm going to stay on top of it. But in terms of like where I sort of consume news from, I actually also do get a lot of it online. The great thing about the current media is a lot of the resources are now online. So CNN exists on TV, but exists online as well.
Online as well.
BBC is on TV, but it's also online. I read a lot of international news because I think stepping out of the US and seeing what the rest of the world is saying
And the lens in which, the lens in which the framing is different, the
is
lens is
different.
different, that kind of thing as
Yeah,
well.
and then the hybrids like The Guardian, I really trust, and I read a lot, the Daily Beast. I'm sort of getting and I like to do a sort of an eclectic variety.
Mhm.
I'll even check some conservative outlets. I'll see what they have to say as well, because you really can't. I think one of the things that happens in the cable news world is that it is a bit of a bubble,
Mhm.
and you're going back and forth and talking to the aunties that love MSNBC, but they're a percentage of the people that make decisions in this world. They're not all of it. And there are a lot of people outside that framework that you really need to know what they're thinking and doing. Otherwise, you're going to be unpleasantly surprised by our politics all the time.
Right, I think you have to have, and like to your point about reading conservative media or reading other media outlets that to see differing views so that you're not surprised by those
Right.
things and you know what both sides are saying.
Yeah, I think you have to. And I think a lot of people, it raises your blood pressure to be right in media. But I've been doing that for my whole career. I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh to see what he had to say. I'm like, I'm curious. I want to know, why do so many people listen to him? I'm going to listen, see. And I think if you can take it, if you can tolerate it, if your mental health will tolerate it, I think you should try to see what the other side is saying, because otherwise they're talking to people who will vote. They're talking to people who will take action, and sometimes violent action, to support their side. And if you have no idea, you're going to get blindsided by it. And I think one of the sort of responsibilities of citizenship is to at least be somewhat conversant with the broad opinion set out there. And
Mhm.
some of that opinion set is stuff you won't like.
Right. Stuff you won't like, things you won't agree with.
Yeah.
Toward the end of your time at MSNBC, we saw you evolve in terms of the on-air look, the style, all those things, and we
Yeah.
love the hair, we love the color. What was it that made you kind of move towards those changes in style? Because we know, especially in the broadcast industry, especially for Black women, there's a very, uniformed kind of look that is unspoken, but you really shied away from that. And I think a lot of people appreciated that. So I just wanted to know, like, when did you make that decision and, kind of changing those choices for you?
It's interesting because, I, like everyone else, had the pixie haircut, and that was the sort of traditional news cut. I've also had the flip, the news flip. I've had it all.
Absolutely.
I've tried it all. And when I started doing my show, the first show I had on Dayside, the Reid Report, I had a real challenge working in the industry with my hair, because I never wore wigs or weaves. I usually just used my hair unless I had braids, and every summer I would do braids.
Mhm.
But at that time, you couldn't wear braids on TV,
Yeah.
right? This is
Come a long
Brown
way.
Act, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to pretty much once I started doing that TV show in 2014, I had to be in my own hair, and it was a challenge because this industry does not prioritize having people who know how to do Black hair and makeup. And so the challenge was hair falling out, hair really being damaged, spending a lot of money to get my hair repaired. And it was really difficult. And so when I finally was able to pull together a team, by the time I got to my weekend show, AM Joy, I had a team that I actually hired during the Reid Report.
Right.
And they started doing my hair and makeup and really sort of getting my look together. So then I started to evolve a little bit.
Yeah.
I could play a little because now I was doing weaves. Now I was putting hair in, and I could try long hair. I could try different things. And I was just like, I'm just going to go wild with this. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm
I
going
love
to try
that.
different things. And then when that Crown Act passed, you could tell me nothing. I could wear braids on. Listen, I was like, I'm going to try braids. I'm going to do updos. I'm going to do all these things. But in all of that, hair care and hair health has always been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got lucky about was I got one, and I think this must have been in 2016, I finally got booked on Meet the Press.
Okay.
So I go to DC. Once again, now I'm in the sort of whirlwind of who's going to do my hair, who's going to do it. And the woman who, not the original person who was doing my hair, and she had a challenge doing my hair as well. And so they brought in a woman named Coco.
Love her name.
Coco did my hair, and I said, "Ooh, she did an excellent job." And she said, "Listen, if you're ever in DC, just come down and I'll just do your hair." And I had tried so many different places and was searching to try to find a salon.
Yeah.
Honey Salon here in Harlem used to do my hair, but I wasn't always there, wasn't always here. And so I wound up just going to her whenever I needed my hair done. And she's been my hairdresser ever since. So eventually I had really one person that was really dealing with my hair care. And I feel like that was key. And I think for women in our business, You can have lots of great hairstylists doing your hair. And I had a tremendous team in New York. Shouts out to Janai Scott, who was doing my hair at the time. Shouts out to, Giselle Modeste, who was amazing doing my hair. So I had a lot of great stylists, but I had one hairdresser.
Right.
And I would literally get on the train and come to DC and make sure that my hair care was being taken care of by one person.
Yeah.
And I would give that advice to especially Black women who are in this business, because our hair is more fragile than it looks. Yes, it can stand up, sit down, get braided, do all kinds of things, but it is fragile.
Yeah.
And that constant heat in your hair, it can cause a lot of damage. So once I kind of had a routine down, I had a person that could do my hair.
And you felt really
And
comfortable.
I felt comfortable and confident. I tried everything. I had wigs. Giselle, I think, did my first wig where I had the curly wig. And when I popped up with the curly wig, it was like, young Black girls with curly hair were like, oh, we got a curly hair girl.
Yeah.
I tried that. I did a long weave, like your beautiful hair. I was like, I need beautiful hair. I need long, flowing hair. So one of my makeup artist, Janice, created my favorite little long, beautiful wig that I
love
wore
it.
in The Culture Is. And then Coco colored it because Coco is the queen of color. So I had that wig. And then I said to Coco, I really want to cut all my hair off. After I've tried it all, I've tried braids, I've tried weaves, I've tried everything.
All the things.
I was like, I want to go back to where I was in the beginning. I used to really hate my hair being short. I hated it when I was a kid. I hated my short hair. And I just wrestled with my hair. My hair was kinky and it didn't grow and I just didn't love it. But after all of that whirlwind of doing my hair, I realized that I actually liked myself with short hair. And I actually wanted to go back. But not only did I want it short, I wanted it blonde. I asked her to do this for years. And she was like, you're not going to let me do it. And I was like, yes, I am. Cut it all with you. And every time she would come at me with them shears, I would be like, whoa, wait.
You weren't ready. You weren't ready.
So this was years of me threatening to do it. And then finally in a year ago, finally in 2024, I was like, you know what? Do it. And she cut it all off. I let her do the big chop. We did the blonde, and we've been working on the blonde, working it to get it the right color.
Yeah.
And I finally did it, and I love it.
And
it's so much fun.
And we love it too. It looks fabulous.
And it's weird because when I first did it, and I didn't go on TV yet because I was like, how are people going to react to this? Because I've been everything. I've been weaved, I've been braided, I've been all these styles, but I've never been this. And so when I first did it, I kept wearing a cute little wig. But I didn't. And so it was actually months before I actually revealed it was already done. And whenever I would go into the salon to get my color updated, the other people in the salon would be like, why doesn't she just wear her hair like that on TV? And it took a while for me to have the, confidence to say, this could be a news look.
But I think that just speaks to like how we've been conditioned to think that like, this is not going to be considered professional.
Right.
I don't know how people are going to react. Right. I don't think they're going to like it.
Yeah. And I think we've been so kind of tormented about our hair as Black women. And our hair's always been political.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
used to be illegal for Black women to walk around with their hair out because our hair has been so controversial. It used to be illegal, again, for us to wear braids, or not illegal, but people could fire you for wearing braids. You had to have, the flip.
Yeah, you had to have the flip or the bob.
The flip or the bob, one of the two. And now I feel the freedom of just being able to like be my little bald, blonde-headed self is like the best feeling in the world. I wake up, my hair is done. How about that?
You're like, I'm laughing all the way to work. I can go.
And listen, it used to be that the worst enemy of my news look was wind. Between my contact lenses and my hair, I was like, please don't let it be windy. Now I'm like, let the wind blow. I don't care. It's all good.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. I really, really appreciated that. And I think our audience certainly will too, because, like you see the evolution and you're always, at least I know it, I'm always like, I wonder when she decided to do that, and how is it with the news, and we know how. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
It was funny because I did it and this was sort of, it was right after we had done The Culture Is. So I went literally from the long hair weave to like a short wig to this. It was like a dramatic 1, 2, 3. And, and even as long as I've been in the business, I definitely have the anxiety of how is this going to go over with my audience. And so we think about it all the time.
Yeah. And you're always like, okay, well, if I'm going on vacation, I could do my vacation hair, but then I got to make sure that my hair is back to this before I get back to work, because you got to have, it has to look a certain way before you get into the office. So 100%. It's literally like it's like mathematics, and me and math don't get along.
I'm a writer. So
I'm a writer. I don't do all this math. And thank you for that, because I think it really, especially for so many Black women who are all still struggling with trying to figure out how to wear the hair, what's acceptable, what's not, quote unquote. It just really kind of gives that backstory to like, hey, no matter what position you're in, we still think about it. We still get anxiety. There's still like, should we be doing this? You know, you are on such a new journey, and there's a lot happening both personally, professionally. What is it that you do to unwind and to take care of you, take care of joy?
Yeah. So I am, because I'm Gen X, the TV raised me, and the TV was my co-parent. And so I still find joy. I still find joy and comfort in TV. And so I will throw on some Netflix and I'll watch a series. I'm excited that The Gilded Age has a new season.
Very nice.
I am ready, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let it ride because I like
Just a
to
little
binge.
something. Me
Yeah,
too. I'm
that's
that
me.
person. It's either all episodes in one weekend or none.
Right. I don't want to wait. I don't want to come back next week. I have been trained to binge. And so I let it play out. I just watched The Last of Us. Fantastic. So
Ooh.
I get into series, and Jackie Reid, who's my co-host, and Read This, Read That. She recommends me stuff. Pop Viewers, which is my friend Chris Witherspoon. I'll go on Pop Viewers and
Viewers.
see what to do, or I'll text Chris. So I have like a little crew of like entertainment gurus
That
that I
keep
go to.
right. That make sure you're in the know.
Make sure I'm in the know, because I'll miss a thing. I miss something. I actually recently have gotten into South African dramas.
Okay.
They have some incredible series out of South Africa. They're
Listen,
addictive.
Blood and Water still has me in a chokehold.
Don't get me started. We could do a whole 8.5 hour Blood and Water. Listen.
In a
Listen.
chokehold.
In a chokehold.
My sister's always like, "Don't you have work
Yeah.
tomorrow?" I'm like, yeah,
This is
good.
work.
But for right now,
Right now.
this is the story.
So TV is one of the things I do. I also love to read. Obviously, I'll read, but now reading is a lot of work because I'm trying to read books that are related to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I've really gotten into audiobooks. Like, it's a way to quickly get a book in and get it done. And I would say that, and then also just music. I do find the soothing thing of just like sitting on my back porch, putting on some great music, having a great glass of champagne and some rosé, and just like trying to chill. I try to bring myself down with a chill vibe, because everything I'm doing is so intense and safe.
Yeah. What's been the most exciting thing about the Joy Reid show thus far? We know it's just been a few weeks
Yeah.
into this new podcast. We're tuning in. What has excited you most about some of the guests you've had and what the response has been?
Well, on the response, when we got, after 1 week of doing the show, our million stream announcement from YouTube, they send you this cute little email. They're like, your channel has reached 1 million streams. They actually send you like a little award.
Oh.
It's like a room raider thing, and they give you like a thing. And I was
Love
like, oh
it.
my gosh, we got this thing. So that was it just made me feel so good that it's like, my people are here with you,
Yeah.
and we're doing the thing. We had some amazing interviews. We got very lucky that we were able to get the former South African ambassador to the United States our first week, and he was so interesting. Abraham Rasool, he was fantastic. But our opening interview, I have to say, the opening interview that we landed made me feel so good, and that was Amber Ruffin. And she was so brilliant. She came to the studio, and we call it the basement, like big tickets.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
And she was
Nostalgia.
and we have a lot of nostalgia in the show, a lot of little nostalgia references, and that's one. And she was such a great interview, so interesting. And the interview did so well, so I think that was phenomenal. And then one of the other things I'm really proud of is I texted my friend Don Lemon, who, that's my guy, and I texted Jim Acosta, who I actually
Yeah.
didn't know, personally, because he was at CNN and I was at MS. And I said to them, look, I asked for Jim's number, got his number, and I was like, would you guys be interested and open to doing a special coverage with me on June 14th when Donald Trump has his little birthday military parade? I feel like the three of us should get together and we should form a super group. We should do coverage together. They both said yes. And that broadcast to me was like revolutionary. 3 broadcasters from 2 different networks, all of whom have left corporate media, getting together and doing a 3-hour live broadcast where we covered the protests in multiple cities. We covered the preamble to the march. We covered the background on the march, why Trump is doing it. And we gave people the kind of coverage they could have gotten on traditional media. And professional, well done, amazing guests, man on the street interviews. And we did all of that on social media, on YouTube, on Substack. I'm super proud of it. And it got such a great response and so many people watching it on all our streams.
On all your streams together.
Simon streamed it. And so it was simulcast on the Joy Reid Show, the Don Lemon Show, and the Jim
Acosta Show.
and our Substacks.
Which has such huge individual following. So just to have that cross the
Yes.
cumulative.
And so we got what a network would get cumulatively between all 6 of those platforms. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And so as you move forward and as we see the Joy Reid show continue, what are you hoping that people are able to take away from it? Because we've been, on a journey with you for many, many years now. So what are you hoping people can take from it week after week?
So week after week, we want you to be informed because you got to know what's going on, but we don't want you to feel despair. So we want you to have a little bit of joy. And we also want you to feel empowered, that you come away from an hour of watching the Joy Reid show feeling like I can argue with my Trumpy uncle. I'm ready to vote. I'm ready to move. Whatever I need to do, if I want to march, I'm ready to march because I have the information that I need in order to thrive, even in this environment that we feel today.
Ooh, love that. This year, Essence turns 55 years old. As a Black woman in media, what has Essence meant to you? We know that you were at Black Women in Hollywood earlier this year, and there was so much love in the room for you. What has Essence meant to you?
I grew up as an Essence household. My mom subscribed to Essence magazine, National Geographic, and I would get Ebony at the hair salon when we go to get the hair salon. But we had Essence magazine in my home, so I grew up, and also Ebony. We also grew up as an Ebony household, but Essence has been like part of the, it's like part of my life, right? I grew up with it, and I think for me, Essence has always been reasserting the beauty and value of Black women and Black girls. As a Black girl, all you saw was Farrah Fawcett and, white women shampoo commercials, and you didn't see us. But Essence is where we saw us. We could flip through those pages and see our fashion, our beauty, our stories, our history. We could see ourselves and our possibilities. And so for me, Essence has literally been a part of the soundtrack of my life. And it just is to me such an honor to be associated with it in any way. It's actually kind of surreal too, because it's like, this is a magazine that was literally on your coffee table all the time that you were growing up. And you always just thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool to just even, one day be in an Essence magazine, to one day have an article about you and to sit here with you and to be able to talk with Essence. It's really a dream come true. So I'm just proud. I'm proud that Essence has turned 55. We are both young and fresh. I'm saying that's the cute age because that's my age close to as well. And so what we're going to say is Essence is not in a midlife. It's in fab life. How about that?
Fab life. We love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Joy. I really appreciate it. This was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.